Welcome to episode 51 of the official podcast for Guardian 1, a Destiny group dedicated to the prosperity of Guardians everywhere. We broadcast live Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Guardian 1 Network. My name is Remy, and tonight I am joined by River.
Hype Train, choo-choo!
Jez.
Good morning.
And Agrios.
Greetings, Guardians.
We are going to be talking about all things Destiny, but first, housekeeping.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening in on the podcast, however it is that you're choosing to listen. And be sure to follow Guardian 1 on Twitter at G1Net. That's G, the number 1, N-E-T. In addition, be sure to check out the Guardian 1 website at guardian1.net. You can also send us feedback to our email, feedback@guardian1.net. We also have a Bungie.net forums group that's currently at 191 members. We utilize the forums for comments and feedback, so be sure to join the conversations going on there. Big thank you to all those currently in the Twitch chat. As Remy said at the top of the podcast, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network. We broadcast every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. And if you can't catch the show live, you can always go to the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1 Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out the Guardian Radio Network website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all the different podcasts that's part of the network, including the flagship podcast Guardian Radio. They broadcast every Monday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at Guardians of D and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Guardians of D. Other podcasts include Amosys Gaming, TTL Party Chat, maybe Robust Radio. Oh. And if you want to read the grimoire without actually reading the grimoire, you can check out Ghosts and Echoes. That's also one of their things that they got. And real quick, before I hand it back to you, Remy, just want to let everybody know that I definitely will not be here next week. I had a schedule change at work, so looks like you'll have to deal with a Hollow River again. So, but maybe I can get you like a 2.0 version or something. So there's that. Anyways, that's it.
Awesome, excellent, and thank you. Okay, a couple things before we start. Last week, the stream, the XSplit crashed for some reason, and I've taken the opportunity for this new update to try out some new things. I'm using the Skype video input instead of screen capturing our faces so that people can see who's talking, and then I'm also using the Twitch plugin. So please, if you guys see it looking gross or if it's not cool, I mean, I can't highlight things now, which makes me sad. But hopefully this will allow the stream to run regularly and not crash, which is definitely a huge goal of mine. Additionally, the Guardian 1 podcast is now on iTunes. If you search out Guardian 1 podcast in iTunes, you'll come to our iTunes page where you can subscribe and listen to there. So welcome to everybody from the podcast. River, that's what I thought you were going to say when you wanted to make your announcement.
I wanted you to do that because that's your baby, man. I just help out a little bit.
Well, I appreciate it. And the people listening at home appreciate it as well. So why don't we get started with what Agrios has to say about what's going on in the world of Destiny.
So much is going on. I don't even know where to begin. I just don't know. Stuff all over the place. So I'm sure we're going to miss stuff here, but we don't even have enough time to even hopefully get to every single little detail that came out. They really, I think more came out now for Gamescom than came out at E3. You guys, would you agree?
It's a lot more detailed. I think it was just more of an announcement at E3 and kind of laying the groundwork for some detailed info like we got today, or the past couple days, really.
River?
Oh, sorry, wasn't paying attention. I was doing some other stuff. What was the question?
We were just asking if you thought that we got a lot more stuff for Gamescom than for E3. It seemed like we got more juicy details.
Yeah, man. I mean, look at all all that stuff that they're talking about. We found out a whole mess of stuff, a lot more than what we had at E3, and I kind of prefer it right now because it's close enough to the release date to where we can get on that hype train, and it's not going to slow down at all. There's no brakes on this thing.
I wonder how much more they have to show us before the before we get it into our hands. I mean, they're saying that they're going to have several Twitch streams in between here and now, and you know, I don't know that I'm ready. I just picked Destiny back up this week in order to edge all of my factions again, and it's been a long, hard struggle. And then I had some family emergency take me out to Oregon this week, so I came back, and here is all of this crazy information. I don't know how we're going to cover it all. Let's just get to it. What do you think, Agrios?
Yep. So start with the weekly update. Of course, the update itself this week was on the light side with everything else that's been dumping. Cosmo is flying solo on his first weekly update he is in charge of here. Deej and Urk have both journeyed overseas to Gamescom with their team. Deeper into the update, they share a series of pictures from their team over there, including one with Deej in front of a large sparkling fountain. And today is actually Deej's birthday. Guardian
Happy
1 wants
birthday.
to
Happy birthday.
happy birthday.
So, a quick fact about that picture of him with the sparkler, that was taken last Gamescom when it was his birthday.
See,
I
I
thought it
thought
looked
that
familiar.
looked familiar.
Well, could they not have gone to the same place? Are we certain it's identical? It is the picture from last year?
Yeah, if you reverse Google search it, you can find like old articles of
Oh,
like
that's
2014.
Way to go, Cosmo, using old media.
Well, I don't think they went to a giant sparkler convention again.
Why the hell not?
Right?
Screw video games. Give me the giant sparkler. Moving on.
So yeah, everybody give him a shout out on Twitter. Wish him a happy birthday. Before we dig into the depths of the Dreadnought, I wanted to note the movie of the week and stuff from the update. This week we have the winner was did a Hopscotch Pilgrim review. And it starts off very much like every other review you see. It almost seems that, you know, it's going in a direction of a legitimate review. But it's definitely a spoof of what is out there on YouTube at the moment. And a quite good one at that. It's definitely worth a watch. You'll definitely laugh if you're a Destiny fan.
Excellent.
They also have some honorable mentions. One's for a hive that sacrifices himself for his boss. It's quite entertaining. And someone also put together a Lego Patience in Time with incredible detail.
Moving on.
Into the Info-splosion. Similar to how they introduced the House of Wolves, like Remy mentioned before, they're preparing a series of live broadcasts on Twitch to give us an in-depth look at what the Taken King will do for us and how it'll change the way that we play Destiny. They've been very adamant about that they're going to let us know everything we need to know before Taken King launches. This week we saw the We Are Guardians trailer release, as well as the Taken King prologue cinematic. And we also saw the release of a trailer for the Soros pre-order bonus. These were all excellent. I loved how the one was a cinematic. They also had a gameplay trailer out, so we got to see a bit of both. These things get you pumped.
You know it.
Harris Morton's back, man. I'm loving that.
Also, you can tell how they craft the cinematics with just the right amount of little things that people talk about. Like, oh my god, did you notice that guy had a sword as a heavy slot item? Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Has that been confirmed?
Well, it looks like a sword. It
Similar
could
to a
be,
sword, but I'm not
could be
100%
exotic.
convinced.
Well, what else could it be? It doesn't look like a gun.
Well, no, the exotics have their own icons.
And it
Exotics
kind
have
of
their
looks
own
like it
icons?
could be like a really large gun, like a really long sniper rifle-y type gun or something like that. That's just
Or
such
like a
elongated
railgun.
image.
I guess if the trigger's on top of the gun.
Well, I thought that could be like a sight, you know, I don't know.
Did you ever watch anime? Like, did you watch Princess Mononoke?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, do you remember the rifles that they use and what they look like? They look like giant sticks with the trigger on top.
Okay, so we're
So
trying to go
maybe-
backwards, huh?
Well, it might be something in that style. Not so much
Oh,
that
no.
gun, but it could be, or it's just a sword.
Or
Right.
it could be a fake Yellowhorn that fires T-shirts.
I want it to be a sword.
Fire shanks.
I think that a sword would be cool, and I've actually been thinking a lot recently about how cool it would be to take a sword into a PvP area, and I'm surprised that we haven't seen it yet. Like that would be cool. Like we were talking previously about what if only certain weapons dropped on the map, and then you would have to race to that. Like what if Yellowhorn just popped up. It was like, oh, here's your heavy weapon, and then even if you didn't have it, you could still pick it up and use it for that until the ammo was gone. And then I started thinking, how cool would it be if a sword popped up, and then you got that. I don't know. I think that would be a lot of fun. But to have it in your slot would be even better, I would think. So,
Wolf Bible says it's a sword gun, like in Final Fantasy VIII.
yeah. I'm into
I would
that.
want that.
That's
See,
sweet.
In the heavy slot, a sword wouldn't be so overpowered just because most things in that slot are one-hit kill anyways.
Yeah.
And being in melee range is a big disadvantage.
This is true.
Unless there's a lunge.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
this is true. If it was like the Sword of Crota, because you can
fair enough.
you can really haul buns with that.
It's like a blade dancer all the time.
Absolutely. That would be an interesting mechanic to
But
have.
what if every swing, even if it doesn't hit something, wasted a charge?
Oh,
Fair enough. I'm liking that. Okay.
Is
So-
that how it worked in Halo? River, you had to hit
No,
somebody.
no, you had to hit someone.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you had to hit someone.
I think you could even hit like environmental things, like things that blow up and it would take off durability.
Got it.
Oh.
But still, it wasn't. You could use it as much as you want. But that one didn't have a lunge, like a static lunge.
Yes, Mr.
It only
Stay Puft,
lunged.
I want a
when-
lightsaber. Yes, please. Yeah.
Well, we kind of already have a Sith, so why not?
Oh,
All right, moving on.
I mean, they say all the time that they were inspired by by Star Wars. They list it like in their their PAX type conferences as being like the inspiration for the game. So like, it totally wouldn't surprise me.
I wonder what the legalities behind that are, because Phantasy Star had a lightsaber of sorts.
Well, I mean, I think energy sword is such a broad term that, like, unless you actually have design elements of like the physical part, like you don't have a patent on a laser beam, and that's what the blade is. So you'd have to have a physical design patent on the hilt, and then you just couldn't copy that specific design of the hilt.
Got it.
I mean, that's speculation, but
Yeah, you probably would have to throw like on a crossguard and a whole bunch of things that made it look not like it was a mechanical sword from a Star Wars universe.
see, part of it is context too, being that the Destiny universe as a whole is just so different from the Star Wars universe that they'd have trouble, like, staking claim unless something would look dead identical,
There was a game out not too long ago. I say not too long ago as if 10 years wasn't too long ago, but it was kind of like a samurai game where this guy it was essentially a lightsaber, but there was a piece of metal that ran from the top of the blade to the hilt, and it kind of looked like a fluorescent tube. I will also accept that as something
Oh, I know what game you're talking
to beat
about.
other Guardians down with. I will also accept that. It was like Suda 51 or something like this.
That
I think
was
so.
that was the maker.
That was the maker. Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
yeah, it's gonna bug me, but yeah, later. I'll look it up later.
I bet Wolf Bible knows. He's pretty
Probably.
knowledgeable. We'll find out in 44 seconds.
It was No More
Right.
Heroes.
There we
Oh,
go.
there
Thank
it
you.
is.
Yep. Hey,
Destinot
got it.
knew Yeah. I never played it, but it looked cool. Was it cool, Destinot? Moving on.
Moving on.
Moving on.
So, other news outlets are going to be taking on Taken King. Bungie's Twitch streams aren't our only source. In fact, spearheading the charge, Cosmo notes that Game Informer broke quite a bit of news, and there's more going to be coming from them all month long. They were given exclusive access to the game. According to the guys on the Game Informer show that just released a little short while ago, they 3 of them were taken in and sat down in front of a version of the Taken King that was everything they had to date but wasn't complete, they were told at the time, and they were told specifically which things weren't complete and said, go crazy, and they just had 8 hours with the game. And so we have a bunch of articles coming out of them, and one of the first ones that caught everyone's eye is the one about the Dinklebutt. R.I.P. Dinklebutt. Hello, Nolanbutt? Northbutt? This is going to be a debate for a while where that goes. But not only does Nolan North play the ghost in the new content in The Taken King, but Bungie also has had North re-record all the original dialogue to create a consistent storytelling experience from beginning to end. They say that we wanted Nolan North's version of the ghost to wake you up at the start of your journey at level 1 and follow you all the way to level 40, says creative director Luke Smith. With this change, the Ghost script will remain the same, but Peter Dinklage's voicing of those lines will not be present in the game. So this has already proven a bit controversial in the community. Do you like, dislike? How do we feel about this?
Okay, last night I did a search on Nolan North's IMDb, and now I'm forgetting what the only thing that I remember him from. Oh no, he was the voice of Desmond in the Assassin's Creed series.
Really?
Yeah.
Nathan Drake from Uncharted.
And Nathan Drake from Uncharted, but I've never played that. It looks cool, but I didn't have a PlayStation during that period of time, so I just basically ignored it because I didn't want to know how cool it was, because then I'd have to know that I have to get a PlayStation, and I wasn't ready to do that. But I'll tell you what right now. Okay, so when I heard this, I was, number one, sad because, to be perfectly honest, I love Peter Dinklage's voice. Like, the sound of his voice, I feel is awesome, and I totally understand why they cast him, because it sounds great. The actual tone of his voice sounds great, but I feel like his acting, if you will, was just really grated against being in the world of Destiny. I feel like it just wasn't, like he either didn't pay attention to what was going on, or they were afraid to line read him, or they even gave him bad advice. It could just
That's
be
what I feel.
Right.
I feel like it was bad direction. I feel like he's an excellent actor, and we've witnessed him acting excellently in many things, including Game of Thrones right up to current date. He's an excellent actor with a huge range. So like, it makes me feel like someone coached him into being a more monotone robot voice, and that's what they asked of him, it seems to me.
They may have also used lines that were repurposed from other scenes that they had cut together.
Possibly, yeah.
Like, you remember that they talk about, there was all those rumors that the storyline changed drastically.
Right.
What if they had already recorded it and then they just used these lines that fit because it's the same basic thing?
That's a good point.
What do you think, River?
Well, I think that Peter Dinklage is obviously a fantastic actor, but voice acting in itself is a different beast. I've seen tons of actors and voice actors say the same thing. They're very similar, but in lots of ways they're extremely different in order to try to get the desired effect that you really want through your voice, because it's different trying to get that range that you want using only your voice. So I guess really the only thing we could go with anything is that we'll probably never know. We'll probably never really know. And the only way we'll ever hear Peter Dinklage as the ghost is either on YouTube or with your...
Grab everything that isn't bolted down.
Get a collector's edition.
Okay. You need to find some higher level gear.
You know what? Okay, so it definitely, for me, was part. Like in the very beginning, when you first kill that Archon, and he's like, "Oh my goodness, this could cripple the Fallen." I felt like that line needed to be something else that wasn't so dramatic. Like, are you serious? I've beat one dude on one level. You think I'm going to cripple the Fallen? Like this doesn't.
You chose one, dude.
It doesn't. I know, but that was no test of skill at all. My
You
5-year-old
single-handedly crushed Crota with your sword in the skull piece, and you killed him. And Oryx is coming for you. It's your fault. You're
No.
the one who did it.
No, and
I know you did it. I watched you do it.
And if he had said this after a huge battle, like, I could get behind it, but it just was so over the top. Like, it was like, well, I don't buy it. I don't buy that this is it. It should have been like, that was a really good test. Let's go talk to the speaker. Like I don't think it should have been, this is going to cripple the Fallen. You know, it didn't cripple the Fallen.
And I think that that really points out that you really have to find that balance whenever you're trying to do a voice acting, because if you look at maybe Game of Thrones, there's some really powerful powerful moments that he has to project out in his acting, and it may not even have that sort of place whenever you're trying to play Ghost in Destiny. It's just a balance. And Nolan North, he's a very experienced voice actor. He can probably give this role its much deserved performance that we're all looking for.
So yeah,
Now,
what's that?
I was saying, the guys from the Game Informer show said that they actually, these are guys who review games and play all these games for a living. They actually, while they were playing, they didn't find out about the replacement and who it was. They could tell it wasn't Dinklage anymore, but they didn't recognize it immediately as Nolan North. They said it does not sound like Nathan Drake. It does not sound like Desmond. The one guy described it as maybe sounding a little Elijah Woody.
Huh.
So,
Is that like Woody Harrelson almost?
Elijah Woody? Like Elijah Wood? Woody Harrelson? What?
So yeah, so definitely sad, but I'm definitely not surprised, because holy hell, he got absolutely shit on in the internet. And so I would not touch it either. Like, you can. I don't think that once you go down that road of everybody thinking that you are the one who screwed up Destiny, I think you just walk away from that. And I think that that's what the whole re-recording is all about. They need something that's
so crazy,
something that they can move forward with. It would be crazy to find out that the way that the two expansions that are out right now had to be done the way they were, because they couldn't get him back, because the internet had already completely destroyed him for his participation in this. I read an article that was like, 10 video game actors or video game voice actors who ruined their games, and I think he was like 2 or 1. Like, so yeah,
he didn't care.
That's possible, but I feel like this goes back to his ability to act. Like, I think he does care. I think he did care. I think that he was probably trying to do his best, or he didn't care from that.
No, I was saying after he was done with his sessions and he got all the backlash, he probably didn't care afterwards. Which as a
I mean, based on his success in other parts he had. Like,
yeah,
whatever.
He's making millions, man.
I'm a star, bitch.
Can I ask a question for the people that are a little bit hesitant to hear Nolan North do the Ghost? What did you think of the voiceover for the We Are Guardians? We Are the Guardians.
Right. That was Nolan North, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it? I'm gonna have to listen to that again now.
I thought it was him from the very beginning, and I've only heard him in in that Assassin's Creed.
I am a fan of him and a fan of it going forward. I'm a little sad about it replacing the old lines, though. I really think they could have very easily worked something into the storyline that caused our Ghost voice to change, or even caused our Ghost to become a different Ghost. Like, our Ghost got, we land on the Dreadnought and Oryx pops our Ghost and pisses us off, and we have to find him.
No, that would have been
the Ghost says he got
lame.
a cold, and he starts talking in a different voice.
while surprising that they had to re-record all this stuff, I think it's probably the best thing that they could have done, bringing in Nolan North.
Well, I think that
Old
they.
lines Dinklage. I really do.
I'm curious to see what he does with those lines because I've heard them millions upon millions of times. I hear them in my sleep. I hear his lines. You know what I want to know? Are they going to offer us a way to change our in life bots? Because there is that USB cord attached to that. For charging purposes, I'm sure it could be repurposed as a way to change data. That would be crazy.
I don't know if it's connected to that or not.
Well, yeah, we don't know.
I wouldn't want it because this thing is now extremely more rare as far as like it's got Dinklebot voice now.
See, that's what they need to do. They need to put a toggle in settings that you can toggle your Dinkle on or off for the early missions.
Well, you're not going to hear him in the Taken King then.
Please, Agrios, refrain from saying "toggle your dinkle" on the show anymore, please. This is a rated mature show, but we don't need to go down that alley.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah,
all I was do is toggle my Dinkle.
right. That's where I'm going to think that you are when you're not online to play Destiny with anymore. Oh well, Agrios is toggling his dinkle somewhere. But yeah, I'm sad about it, but I'm not surprised. And you know what? We're still in year one. They're planning on this having a 10-year arc. So redoing 1 year's worth of work is no big deal in the grand scheme of things. So I'm excited though. I'm excited to see where it goes. Anyone else? Moving on. Oh wait, I wanted to throw my weight behind Nolan Bot. I think that one has the most.
Oh yeah, this is important.
Flowing. Yeah. Okay, River. What do you think? What do you think the new bot name should be?
Northbot.
Northbot.
See how quick and easy that is?
It's not as nice as Nolan Bot.
Nolan Bot, it's too much.
No, Jez.
Well, you're saying that, but we had Dinklebot.
So what are you, Dinkbot? Nah.
We didn't call it Dinkbot. It was Dinklebot.
Dinkbot.
You might have called
That's
it
too much.
Dinkbot.
No, I never did.
But it was already called Dinklebot, so we're not losing any syllables, or we're not gaining any.
No, it
But-
just rolls off much easier than Nolan Bot.
maybe for you, Agrios.
I'm gonna have to lean toward Nolan Bot, but they both just make me want to toggle my Dinkle.
That was a
looks
bad timing.
Looks like Agrios is returning to the mothership now.
There we go.
Well, yeah.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Destinaut says Norbot, and I'm hoping that this is a takeoff of Norbit, and I hope to see a meme in that direction
No.
sometime on the internet soon, because I'll go with it. Norbot is even better than Northbot.
Why don't we go with why don't we make fun of his previous acting and call it Drakebot or something?
Drakebot sounds
Drakebot.
too cool. Drakebot's like, oh, Drakebot. Bzz, I rap and I'm awesome.
Kind of thinking Norbot. I kind of.
Right, Norbot. I really
Have
like
you?
that. Norbot.
Did you ever play Portal 2?
Yeah, it was
Or
awesome.
no, wait, sorry. Yeah, Portal 2. Do you remember the Adventure Sphere?
The Adventure Sphere. I don't know.
It was the green one that was like, "Hey, pretty lady, you want to go on an adventure?"
Oh, you mean the different spheres that they had?
Yeah, at the end.
Yeah, at the end.
That was Nolan.
Spoiler.
That was Nolan North pretending to be a robot.
Interesting.
See how wide-ranged he is?
Wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be hilarious if he re-recorded all the things in exactly the same inflection? Like it was, it like it was exactly redone the same way.
I actually
Just
just
in his
seen on
voice?
Reddit before coming on the show that there was someone took the portal, the portal core sounds, and put them to the Dinklebot while it was in the trailers or in the cinematics, and it's pretty amazing. I'll have to link it.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, that's-
Moving on.
Moving on. So, one of the articles we got from Game Informer was 104 questions and answers about Destiny: The Taken King. And it was with Luke Smith, our favorite ass-hat-loving dev from the controversial Eurogamer interview a few weeks ago. And I'd like to, well, for all the content tonight, I got to put a huge thanks out to, the Destiny the Game subreddit, as well as Planet Destiny, and they both were great for summing up a lot of information. Planet Destiny, in particular, for the information that came from the Game Informer magazine only, and Reddit for this article in particular. But these are the most crucial questions posed during the interview. Is the Guardian we find on the moon part of Eris's fire team? No. Is Osiris still alive? Yes. Is the Traveler truly evil? Long pause. In time we'll discuss. There will be no sparrows on the Dreadnought. Does the stranger travel through time? Too soon to tell. Also, does Xur have a family? No. Is Xur the agent of 9 dragons? To be determined. Is Traveler warm or cool to the touch? Both. Is Omnigul Crota's wife? I don't know. I may have heard that she's his consort, and looks away. More vault space. Sort of. Secret vault of glass chest. Maybe. Do you know what's inside the Traveler? Yes. Ghost skins confirmed. Can we skip cutscenes? Yes. Was Oryx elected king or what? Knighted. Will the three-player fire team limit be changed? Maybe. Is Taken King better than Halo 3? Pause and then pass. Is the darkness really bad? Yes. So what do we want to say about this?
I want to say something about how is Oryx king? Knighted definitely means there's a higher thing that's ordering him around, which is obviously the darkness.
You think so? Because the way I'm looking at it is that there's probably other kings out there, right? This is just the Taken King.
The Council of Kings.
Right? Right, there could be many, many kings. So then who would be the central... Like, you think there's like a hive mind or something like this? Like some greater being?
He's referred to as the Taken King, not just the king.
Yeah.
If he was the only one of whatever, he'd just be the king. But he's
totally.
Taken King, so that means there's something else,
Oh, no, he had to be knighted by somebody.
Yeah,
People just go around knighting each other.
Well, I figured that he probably just took the regency by force, which is how a lot of kings are made too.
True.
I don't know. The galaxy's a pretty big place. I'd say that there's room for more than one.
Well, what if all of your army is created by your offsprings or somehow related to you because of, like, however the Hive are created? I don't know how the Hive are created.
I don't know how the Hive are created either. River?
I thought it was more
speculation
bug-like.
on how they're... Oh, go ahead.
I thought it was kind of bug-like, which would mean, like, a really large army under one regency or whatever you want to call it.
Right, early concept art, as well as it being hinted at throughout the lore, but never directly referenced in anything official. So this is definitely a little bit on the speculation side of things. But apparently, they're all infested with light-eating parasites, worms, if you will. And it's questionable as to how those got there, but they're what makes them immortal and what makes their thirst for the light insatiable. And they're desperate in researching how to get these parasites out of them.
Sounds like hunter worms to me.
Sounds like Barfarama to me. What was that you were saying, Agrios, about the vault chest?
Is there another vault chest? The answer is maybe.
Man, of course
I'll
the
never
answer is
tell.
maybe. Okay, so
Mhm.
this goes along with what I'm saying, which is there's definitely one, and this goes along with River. Were you against it? Did you think that there was none, and this was just the ploy to get us to keep trying?
It's hard for me to tell, man. I couldn't care less either way, in all honesty. I'm leaving it up to the internet to find it for me if there is still one.
So you're not interested in going out and trying anything?
Dude, I have as little time as there is right now for me to play anyway. I don't have time to go look for a chest in the freaking vault of glass.
All right. I'll take that. Jez, are you interested in looking for, like, let's say that they said right now, let's say that answer was yes. There's one that we haven't found. Are you interested in going on that hunt for that?
Well, there's been so many. Well, you might as well call them expeditions into the vault trying to find the sixth chest that no one's even found a hint of what we need to do to unlock it. I think until we get like some sort of hint officially from Bungie that, hey, there's a sixth chest and you might want to look at blah. There's no way that I would be able to find it myself, so what's the point? So many people's already tried.
Interesting. What about you, Agrios?
We're well beyond the point of people have tried everything. If you can think of it, other people thought of it several times before you and have tried it at this point. There is an entire subreddit, vault secrets, raid secrets, I think it is, that dedicated to figuring this stuff out. And these guys are incredible. I mean, these are the same squad of guys that managed to kill every Gorgon. And this is what they were searching for when they killed every Gorgon. They thought they successfully wiped every Gorgon out, so there were no Gorgons left in the Vault of Glass, that it could trigger something. This is one of their last things. They've just finally became powerful enough to try that on their list of things that they have tried. And these guys are dedicated. I mean, to the point now that they get the hunter, or they get a relic on their hunter, and they can blink and slash and literally just walk vertically up walls to get to any ledge they want to get to.
Amazing.
To explore this place. And they have tried everything conceivable, shooting these little lights that spark, having people in different places while other people killed Atheon and stuff like that. And I think maybe I don't think maybe. I think when Destiny answers that question with the word maybe, is that's just a short answer for Destiny's not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you there's not one. They're not going to tell you there is one there. That's up to the community and us as players to figure out. They're just not going to tell us, and that's what maybe means.
Got it. Yeah, I could definitely see that. But I mean, what are those second set of steps for? Like I keep coming back to that. That has to be something.
The other thing I was going to say was, the other question is, are we done in the Vault of Glass? We already came back there once in the House of Wolves. In one of the missions, we came back, had to fight our way back into the middle of the Vault of Glass, like when we weren't actually raiding, in a story mission. And they discuss further down in the Game Inform article about learning more about the Vault of Glass. So the answer maybe is maybe they don't even know yet. Are we even done in the Vault of Glass? How many more times are we going to go back to the Vault of Glass? Is something else going to spring up in there? Time travel into there? Nest into there?
Taken.
Who knows?
What was that, River?
Said taken.
Taken?
Yeah, wouldn't that be something?
I don't understand what you're saying.
If they put the taken in the Vault of Glass.
Side.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. I mean, if they do it for strikes, why not?
Raid?
Yeah, why not?
That's a good
See,
question.
taken oracles, remember?
Mm-hmm.
We know they're take-defying strikes. We have those strikes that are take-defying. Yeah.
It's not out of the realm of possibility for them to do something like that. Obviously, it'll need some tweaking, but I think compared to creating a new raid, I mean, they could probably take-defy some other stuff in there too, just like that.
Well, that's clear now that they're going to do that, because that's how you're going to get your Taken Fatebringer. Said it here first.
Bringer.
Okay, so
What if it was like a Tron, like black with blue highlights, Fatebringer?
Envision a Confluence Taken version.
So
Level
many
40
people would be
taken.
all over it.
We
What
are going to
if-
talk about weapons later, right?
We're talking about all kinds of stuff.
Okay, I'll save
if-
it for later.
What if you had to get an original Fatebringer? Like, I'll get on board with this redoing this raid if it's an additional level. Like, there's the regular, there's the hard, and then there's the Taken version. Like, what if you had to get the Fatebringer from the original version, and then you had to get an upgrade piece from the Taken version? This would drive people who just bought this content with the Taken King. This would make them want to go back to this original raid and also do this new raid. And it would also give people who have spent a lot of time trying to find that it would give them a sense of, I did something. You know, like, I feel like if I saved my Stranger's rifle, if I can upgrade that to the Fate of All Fools, then I will feel like I've used that piece of vault space wisely. I don't know, kind of like a Husk to Necrochasm deal. You know, you have to get one in order to get to the next. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Is this something that you'd be excited about? Like a Taken Mythoclast. You have the Mythoclast. You have to get the Mythoclast first. Then you have to upgrade that. Like, is this a path, River, that you are interested in?
Yes, I am, and there's two things that I'm thinking that might happen here. Remember how you had your Dear Bungie stuff, and you were talking about dismantling your weapons in order to upgrade other weapons and make them better?
Yeah.
I think that they might be doing something like that here soon, maybe with the Taken King, like maybe swapping out perks, perhaps. That's just an example, but definitely making it a way to where your old gear isn't completely just useless and just dismantle into weapon parts type of thing. It's also my belief that while our old gear is going to be gone and not being carried over, we're probably going to see newer and better versions of our old gear sometime in the future during year 2. So like you were saying, maybe not like a Taken Vex or a Taken Fatebringer, but maybe like an updated version in the future, so that you can get that back and say, oh man, I remember when Fatebringer was, shit, but now this new Fatebringer that they brought on is even better in some form or fashion.
Okay, so then what I'm looking at is, I would either like this, where it was something that you've gained and have held on to, helps you boost where you're going. Like, if you've already done that, then you're ahead of the game. Like this is rewarding you for time already spent. Otherwise, what I want is a wall to hang this crap on, because I don't want it in my vault anymore. If it's not going to be valid in any situation because I'm in a level 40 situation, I want to be able to hang it on the mantle, or I want to put it up as a trophy. Look at, I got Atheon's epilogue. I used it before it was complete crap, but here it is. Like, I would put that on the wall. I think I think it's a cool gun. I love the paint job. I love that that it was one of the first elemental weapons that I got. Like, it was magical. I remember watching a video of Datto in a Nightfall with the Void property, with the Void Bird on, and he was just slaughtering people, and I thought, that's the gun I need to get. That's going to be fun when I have that. And I have it, and I saved it, and I don't really use it because it really is crap. It really is crap. But I love that I got it, and I love my connection to it. I want to hang it up and then take it out of my vault space. So that's the other thing I was thinking about. What do you think, River? Do you have weapons that you would just hang up on the wall?
No.
Really, you don't have anything that's going the way of the
legendary, man? Because as far as legendary, I really don't have anything that I find particularly like my favorite or anything. Because I love my exotics. Thorn, I love freaking Thorn. I love Last Word, and not because they're like overpowered or anything like that. It's just I love the lore and the look, the silhouette of these weapons. They're iconic. I love the crap out of them. But we're going to be carrying those things over.
Yeah, you're saying that exotics are going to carry over?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, this has been confirmed?
They haven't given us the details about what's going on with that yet, but they've heavily implied basically that
How's
the
this?
exotics occurred. I mean, they've specified the legendaries won't.
Yeah, and if the exotics are like that, they would have said that too.
Right, and they've given us
Oh,
in the update for 2.0. They gave us all those updates to all the old exotics specifically. I don't think they'd be going through all those trouble to do all that if those were going to be irrelevant now.
I know that they did let some legendaries too, but that is very, very, very minuscule compared to the updates that they put to the exotics. Those things are carrying over.
Jez.
I kind of wish that there was a proverbial wall, or not a proverbial wall, a literal wall you could hang these weapons on, like, like just so that you could, like, admire the physicality of them rather than how horrible they will be. I mean, they're still gonna be good for like doing old vault, anyways, but it will be kind of just fun to just be able to see them at a glance rather than have to always move them out of your vault.
Right. Every time I go to the gunsmith, I think to myself, this is it right here. If you look at, there's like bars up on the wall behind him with guns hanging there. I need an area in the tower that I can go to, that I can hang out in, that I can rearrange trophies that I've got. You know, I want a suit of armor on display. I want, you know, guns that are not worth it. I mean, I don't know. Do I sound stupid right now?
No, of course not.
So this is something that you're interested too? Like it's a place in the tower where you could just, here is my favorite weapon that's no good anymore. Like it's just, I just really want to do that. I don't know.
Yes, that'd be
Yes.
awesome.
Jez?
Yeah, I think I
Agrios?
just said that though.
Agrios?
Yeah, I totally want like Skyrim style mannequins to put armor sets on and like cases and specific mounting points. Like maybe you could even select your like apartment or hideout or whatever you want to call it model from a list of like 5 different ones with slightly different styling, maybe based on factions or manufacturers or something like that. And you could invite you take a fire team, a raid team's worth of people into your apartment with you. It's where you could rendezvous to set up for things and such. There could be a vault for your team to access in there and that sort of thing.
Man, that sounds so awesome. All right, let's stop this line of thinking because it's making me hyped for something that it's not
running long.
right.
You know the
We got
problem
tons
with
of
all
stuff.
that, right, Remy?
Last generation consoles.
Yes.
Yeah. We're going to see any of that stuff in Destiny 1 as long as they are going to continue to develop last gen and next gen equally. And I pray that Destiny 2 is not going to be mirrored on last gen.
So what about this thing with the vault space, sorta? Do we have more information on that, or is that just boom?
We do not. I mean, we know some bits and pieces, which we'll go over as we go down the list here later. As far as the emblem vendor will now like show all emblems and show you which ones you have, which ones you don't, and let you know how you can obtain the ones that you don't have. And any that you've already purchased, you can repurchase from her all the time. So you can just delete those from your inventory when you don't want that emblem anytime soon. And anytime you want it again, you can just go rebuy it off of the emblem vendor.
Oh my God. Let me just interrupt what you're saying right there to tell you that this is awesome. This is so awesome. And I'm insanely excited about this. Like, this is so exactly what I was looking for. I want this. I want to buy all the shaders. I want to buy all of the emblems, but there was no place to put them. And for a collector like me, this puts so much back into the game as far as me wanting to play. Like right now, I want to play. Don't have any room for anything. Can't imagine how Agrios feels right now. But with this gives me an opportunity. Like there's this the emblem of the archives or something. It's like an MLG looking blue and white and red, and it's got like a dog on it, a really noodly looking dog. I want to purchase it, just to have it, just to say that I've purchased it, just at some point in maybe the future to use it. Don't have any space for it. Not interested in doing this. So, I don't know. What do you think about this, River? Is this exciting to you? Like this shaders and emblems are now going to be something that you can purchase and then delete, and then not have that filling up maybe your vault space, not have that filling up your character.
Thank God. Thank God. Because, lots of people I know are trying to chase certain shaders and maybe some certain emblems, and I've been trying to chase some, like maybe a black, red, and white one. I really want that color scheme. But it's really tough to know what you have and what you don't have and how to get that crap. So I'm really glad that they're trying to tell us exactly how we're supposed to be getting that stuff. Not only that, it's going to free up vault space because you remember how was it that they put in new vault space for last gen? They took out the part where you hover your cursor over a weapon and you're not going to be able to compare, right?
Yeah.
But that's something that you were doing in your character screen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They took that part out?
Yeah.
Let me add to this real quick so we can continue the discussion with this information thrown in too. Now, I had mentioned the emblems, but this is also going to apply to shaders. And something else they're doing to reduce the vault space, or increase the vault space, I should say, is that all of the armor materials, like the Hadronic Essence, Sapphire Wire, and Plat Steel Plating, are going to become just all the same material.
Yes.
So there's no longer going to be 3 separate materials to have to deal with. You're just going to have one type of material instead of 3 more to deal with. And they're also going to make legendary marks replace Crucible and Vanguard marks, so they're going to be piled into the same deal.
So does this mean, in your opinion, that we'll be able to purchase Crucible stuff with marks that we've earned out doing Vanguard stuff?
Well, yeah, it's all going to be the same marks from what we understand now.
That's what it sounds like to me. And that's really exciting. That opens up so much more, especially to people who don't have time to put into PvP, but at the same time, are able to do a couple of I can't even think of the word now. Patrol missions. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Great news. All right. So with that added, River, what were you saying?
I was saying that even with those changes that Agrios just mentioned too, that's freeing up more vault space in a sense. That's freeing up more memory for them to add more vault space for everybody, including last gen. Because we all know it's just a memory issue. So if they, combine items, you won't have to display 3 separate items for armor stuff anymore. It's just going to be one. That's freeing up some more vault space for us. They're taking those marks, putting them into one thing. You don't have to have displayed 2 different marks anymore. That's more memory for them to use to free up more vault space. They're trying to get this down, condense it down so much, trying to squeeze out every little bit of memory that they can to give us that more vault space. They're trying so damn hard.
I wonder how long they'll support the last gen.
Now, there's something else since we're on the subject. It was a little note they made offhand in one of the interviews. They note that the vault space will be helped by kiosks located throughout the tower. And they're very cryptic about it. And that's like as much detail on the extra question of vault space that we've got out of them, is that somehow it's going to be helped by kiosks throughout the tower. But those have something along the lines have some limitations here. I'm looking for the quote exactly. But yeah, so there is something else in the works of question with the vault space to apply to that sort of more than just the emblem and shader condensing.
Interesting. Wouldn't it be crazy if it were those doors on the left-hand side when you first drop into the tower? There's those 3 doors on the side next to those stairs that lead up to that area right above Eris.
I do know what you're talking about.
I always figured that those would be used for some kind of simulator. I mean, it just looks like Star Tours when you walk up there. I'm expecting to go on like a ride or something. That would be crazy, though.
I'm kind of thinking it might be what I had suggested before about having just a kiosk that only appears when you're on your next-gen system. and provides extra next-gen storage, and you wouldn't be able to access it if you went and logged in on last-gen. And that would kind of lean toward a sort of answer as well, because it's not an answer for people who are on last-gen only.
But that goes against their policy of trying to create the same experience for both generations of consoles.
Yeah, but you can have the same experience. You just have that experience with less weapons.
I think what Agrios is trying to say is screw that.
Well,
sorry, man. They're trying to include everybody.
Last gen people can't R2 compare their weapons, so I mean, if they're willing to consider that the same experience, I don't see why having an extra little kiosk that only appears in the next-gen tower that gives you an extra 20 spaces of storage really going to affect someone's experience as a whole that much.
Okay. I'm sorry, Agrios. I completely disagree with that, because you cannot compare weapons to 20 more spaces of vault space, because we don't have enough vault space as it is.
I agree it's a larger departure, but I mean...
Huge!
it would benefit a huge majority of the player base as well.
How do you know?
And it would only leave a very small percentage of players out in the cold as far as that extra vault space goes. And is it really good to deprive a huge chunk of the community of that space that they could easily stick in just because a tiny percentage of them can't get it on last gen? Or can't
we
get
don't
it if
know
they don't
that most people are on current gen.
Okay, before we get too far away from this, Lawn Boy says they could use the tent area on your way to the speaker as your area. Are you talking about the area behind that circular door? Because I've been ready for that to be where my apartment is since the beta. He also says, or under the FWC lady, and River says the bar. Infamous Band-Aid says, or you could give, or could give you an apartment at the tower with cheap rent. And let's see, Destinaut says they will give us more glimmer, but the rent will suck it away. Biohazard says like 100 glimmer a week. I think that might be too low, but Lawn Boy says should be free. Dirty J says hello everyone. Hello, Dirty J. And then Lomboy says, after you beat the main game, and I could get on with that. Band-Aid says, I'll pay rent, lol, and I will see your pay rent, and I will raise you during the days of Halo. Bungie had something called Bungie Pro, where you could pay real dollars, real life dollars, for additional slots to hold like videos and screenshots and things like this. And I paid for that. I paid for that happily because I was using that so much. And I would pay real money. I would pay real money to have an area in the tower where I could put stuff up. I don't know how they would take it away if I didn't continue to pay them. So it would probably have to be in-game earned. But I would pay like 1,000. Well, I don't know. What would even be reasonable for a month? And then what happens when you don't have that glimmer? Do you just not get to go in there anymore? Like, I don't know. There's a lot that goes into it, but I would pay something. I would pay something to have an area that I could call my own in the tower. Maybe be able to see the different ships. I would like that to be where I can view my ships. You know, where I can go and see all the ships I bought. I want the same thing that they're describing for the emblems and the shaders for my spaceships. That way I can just buy them all. I can collect them all and buy them all, and that would make me happy. Are you listening, Bungie? That would make me happy.
You're going to have a lot more room for ships because of your lack of emblems and shaders.
Fair enough.
You know, I don't put any of that into my vault. I don't put anything other than materials in my vault. It's just really each Guardian is stacked to the gills.
Well, speaking of materials, you'll be able to trade those in for reputation now. Most of the motes of light and various materials like that will all be able to be traded in for reputation. So if going forward, by chance, they don't require all these different materials for doing anything in the game, that'll open up a lot of space as well.
Remember, when the game launched, you could do that.
And then now you'll be able to trade them for rep as well.
Lawn Boy says, like I like it as a perk for beating the main game / main missions. Like, you saved the world, here is a room for free hero. I'm in on that. That sounds way reasonable.
I concur.
I'm curious to know if what is going to happen with those commendations, because I still haven't turned on my in. Should I turn them in now, or will I still be able to turn them in for 250 rep after this? Have anyone addressed this yet?
Well, they haven't said you can't, so I wouldn't see why you
Yeah.
wouldn't still be able to. And I kind of think it would be smart at this point, if you haven't turned them in, to hang on to them and see what these new faction-based quests and how they may involve rep.
Mhm.
Oh man, that's a great point.
Like
you
your
still
first
got
mission
separate
might be earn an
reputation.
additional 500 rep with future war call, and then you can just, I'll just eat all these things.
I don't know whose voice you were doing, but that was pretty funny. I'll bring that back once in a while. So, River, did you buy Bungie Pro?
No. Didn't they give like a little bit of free space once
Yeah.
or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just used
Everybody's-
that. That was it. Because I wasn't really into the whole video editing thing yet. I didn't have, well, the hardware just yet. I was very interested to.
You know, back then the hardware was nuts, and
Mhm.
it was expensive, and computing power isn't what it is nowadays. I mean, the main computer I use for all of my videos is at this point like 2 or 3 years old, so it's definitely not cutting edge stuff. But back in 2007, when they released the theater mode, I got so deep into making movies and machinima, and I don't know, I have so much interest in going down that road. So yeah, I definitely purchased Bungie Pro. But is there anything on this list that we just talked about, River, that you want to go back to and talk
Factions.
about? Factions?
Yeah. Agrios, hit us with factions.
Agrios, hit us with factions. Or
Unmute yourself.
Well, I don't have factions just immediately. I'd have to find them on my list of stuff. We just brought those up in discussion. I didn't actually read over the faction stuff yet.
Jez,
There
did
goes
you
my
read
stuff.
over the faction stuff?
Well, I don't have the exact faction stuff, but from what I remember, you could go to a faction dude and say, "Hey, I want to represent you," and then you're locked to that faction for probably as long until you decide to represent someone else. But it gives you access to faction exclusive bounties and faction exclusive vendor items. So it's a little bit more involved, or quite a bit more involved than what we have currently.
And you don't have
Okay,
to equip its specific class item.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, I
You
was going to say
represent-
that was it in a nutshell, except for that with the class item. You no longer once you play and you're loyal to them, the class item doesn't mean anything.
Do we know how you pledge?
You just go up and talk to the head, like you go talk to the Dead Orbit dude, the tower, and say he'll have an option to say, I want to pledge myself to Dead Orbit, and at that point's when he's going to issue you your Dead Orbit specific quest.
It's probably like an item slot that you select or something like that, similar to like a Tempered and Iron Banner or something like that.
I mean, don't forget that we've seen pictures of the UI where there's just that huge page of all those empty blocks for quests. So we're going to be getting a lot of bounty style quests in those blocks there. So I imagine that's what will be issued is, a Dead Orbit bounty style quest on that page.
I don't really know how this is going to roll out, but I'm interested in seeing it work, and I hope it's one of the things that they go over in those Twitch reveals. Was that specifically what you wanted to talk about, River, or did you have something else that was connected to that?
That was one thing, but go ahead. It sounds like my connection's kind of failing on.
That was very convenient.
That was so
it
perfectly
was
timed.
it was like perfect, and then it seems like my connection's failing on me.
It did it to you too.
No. Wow.
River's been ejected from the Matrix.
That's what he gets.
Not like this.
Deja vu.
Screw you, Remy. It's still here.
No, I'm very excited about that too. I'm very excited about my choosing a faction to be, like there's a reason for it instead of just I like these colors or specifically I need intellect and discipline over the other two combinations. Like I'm curious to see where it goes. Like if they are divorcing light level from actual level, then that should mean that you're able to use whatever, right? Like you would think that I don't know. Maybe they're going to keep it like that.
This is further down the list too, but the the light level is still going to matter. The light level is going to be generated based upon your attack and your defense rating, whereas your character level is going to be held as an independent thing. So your light level actually means more than your character level now. Like, it seems to me. Like, well, I mean, your light level always was what's important, and that still seems to be what is important, actually more so than whatever level you end up as a character. Whereas the level as your character more determines what abilities you have available to your character at that point in time.
Got it.
I think what I'm seeing here is that you'll still be able to level up, and you'll still be able to unlock like strikes and raids and stuff. You'll have a place to go in with under, diminished light level gear if you so choose, but they will tell you the recommended light level of gear that they recommend you going into. So it's kind of the same. In a sense, it's kind of the same of what we have, and I'm not really sure how that's really if it's going to be too big of a difference.
Before, when you went into an area that had enemies who were X number of level off of you, you'd see those question marks above their heads, and no matter what you did, you couldn't hurt them. Okay? Now your level relative to their level doesn't matter at all. It's more about whether what you're carrying, how much damage it can do to them, and whether you can take them on with the weapons and armor that you have.
Which essentially is still the same thing.
Right, but it doesn't matter on your level anymore. It's based on your light. So that
it was still kind of still based on your light.
Right, so yeah, it still is based on your light, like it was based on before, but that has nothing to do with your level. So if you're level 36, it doesn't matter if you're fighting a 40, he's not going to have question marks above him. If you have high light level gear on your level 36 guy, you're still going to be able to take on that level 40. He won't have question marks above his head. It's more important what your light level to have high light level gear. So even if you're not leveled up to where the level of the enemy is on that stage, if your gear is, I guess that can help close the gap. I mean, it is a lot of gray area. This is some speculation. They've answered it a couple different times, a couple different ways. So this is what I've taken from hearing it answered by a couple different people, a couple different ways.
Now, the best thing about this new system that it might not be apparent at first, and Dato's actually going to go over it in his next video because I seen him tweet out that sick line graph. But the damage that you do is going to scale.
That's the best line ever, Jez. I just want to interrupt you real quick for the sick line graph. That's funny. That is funny. Congrats to Dato for his sick line graph.
Make sure to tweet at him.
I'm sorry, that
numbers. Was sick line graph.
Sick line graph.
Yeah, it's instead of every level increasing your power so much, it's going to be a much linear increase in power. It's going to be a much smoother ride, really.
Which is good.
Right.
That's good for everybody.
For instance, instead of you being one light, have gained all this stuff and being one little tiny light away from going up that huge clump in power difference, now with every little bit you gain, either in your light levels from getting a better attack defense rating, or in your actual level of your character, will progress you further. So slower and more gradual rather than huge steps, like he said. But it's interesting is that we found out information about the intellect, defense, and strength stats that apparently they're going to have them operate on a tier system now, so that you know exactly how long your grenade is going to take to recharge based upon whether it's, say, tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3. If you have your defense high enough to make it a tier 3 grenade, it'll take X amount of time no matter what. So the problem with this, though, also as pointed out by Dato, is that you may end up with wasted points because you've already hit tier 3 and now there's an extra 50 points there and you're not to tier 4 if there is a tier 4 because you need another 5 points to hit, or whatever, so to speak. You see what I'm saying with that?
So they're fixing with the light, they're breaking with the other stats.
Kind of, yeah. No, they're doing it because they're saying they want you to know exactly what you can count on as far as how long your super, your melee, or your grenade's going to take to recharge.
But you could do that with a tooltip anyways.
True.
Continuing.
So now I'm going to dig into. I'd like to thank Planet Destiny for putting this together. This is mainly information from the article, the Game Informer actual article that they didn't post online. That's part of their magazine and whatnot, and they've summed up the important points here for us. So, weapons, armor, class items, and even your ghost shell all offer perk customization as well as increased power and light for your hero. The RNG algorithm has been retooled to be smarter, rewarding you more frequently with items you could use and attempting to avoid giving you those you already have. Metroid Prime style.
That was how they originally sold it, as that it was going to be the loot was going to be based on what you needed, and then we found out that it wasn't. So
that's how Crota was supposed to work too. That it would know which Crota weapons you had or didn't have and try to reward you accordingly.
I felt like it worked.
You know, it might have worked for you
Because it doesn't. Because it doesn't.
Crota.
You really can't measure it that much. It could have been, a 5% increase, or it could have been 30. Who really knows?
I don't know. I know people who never got the helmet. I know people who never got the arms. There was every time they'd go through, they'd get pants or a chest, and were pissed off that took them. I mean, holy crap! Poor Strider. He still hasn't gotten Yellowhorn. That's
Neither is K-Dub.
Really, K-Dub hasn't gotten it either.
Quick
Man.
side story. I finally got Fatebringer, but it was rating on my Xbox character.
Is it awesome?
It's a hand cannon. It's all right.
You're a funny guy, Jez.
I'm Scout Rifle all the way. It's no question.
Continuing.
Continuing. Metroid Prime style opt-in lore. Press a button and bring up info on something in real time. And since then we had a little bit more elaboration, is that our ghost will, in fact, Nolan North, will be narrating that. He will pop out and provide input on... And actually, anytime you're passing something that you could find out lore about, you'll hear an audible cue of some sort. Like, I imagine, kind of like the tinkle you hear when you walk past chests and other loot.
Very cool. This is very cool news. Moving
it's
on.
one of the things I'm most
No. Don't move on, because somebody explain this to me, because I haven't played Metroid Prime, so I'm not really sure what it is that they're saying here.
Well, I haven't played it yet either, but from what I can tell, it's just as you're walking past things in the world, I don't know, like a Warsat or something like that, you might hear some sort of sound, like your ghost might comment on it for all I know. And when you look at it, it'll bring up a prompt, and your ghost will pop out and tell you lore about the object that is being scanned by the ghost.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds awesome. Jez, are you familiar with Metroid Prime?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. And yeah, I do recall, but Metroid Prime was a bit different, that you basically scanned everything, which I don't think they're going to add that much to Destiny for scanning.
Do you think we're going to have an achievement-based list of things to scan to unlock, for a trophy type stuff?
Oh, I'm sure they're going to probably tie some sort of achievement to it, but that's probably about as far as they're going to take it.
I mean, we did get confirmation that there were going to be more trophies with the Taken King, correct?
I didn't hear about that, actually.
Let's just say yes, because we always get more.
Good.
We always get more trophies or achievements if you're, saying it right.
We didn't get any with the Taken King, with the Dark Below or House of Wolves.
Yeah, sure. I think that this is different though. This wasn't an included DLC. This is a separate thing.
Well, they weren't included either.
What do you mean?
They're only with
Tech-
the sold special. The season pass came with the special edition, and that
Yeah,
was it.
it wasn't so much that they were just given to everyone.
Well, no, totally. But at the beginning, you could buy them from the very beginning. This is, like everybody who wants to buy this has to buy it at this point. There's a lot of times where I saw people saying online that they wanted to quit playing Destiny, but because they bought it with the expansions, that this was the reason they continued to play. Like this is a positive. You actually have to go out and make this happen. It's not just not just dragging you along from a previous purchase. And it seems to be basically an entirely new game, at least an entirely new version of this game. Like it's going to be alien to anybody who hasn't played since, anyone who's dropped off before now is in for a big surprise if they choose to go with the Taken King when it launches. So I could definitely see it. I could definitely see it being having more trophies and achievements. Moving on.
All of the original missions have been reorganized, contextualized, and placed with within a larger quest framework. Even older subclasses have dedicated quest lines that explain their use and place in the world. So this implies that we're going to have new quests pertaining to old stuff in the game even, and they went so far as to say on the Game Informer show earlier that they even reordered some of the early quests to be in a different order, and they've went and set things up to unlock at more natural times, such as that very first time that you go to the reef in the game, the very, very first time you visit the Queen when you're talking to her about the Eye of the Gate Lord. You get dropped off in the reef and you're just there and there's nothing you can do there after that cutscene. You can't go. It's just a spot there. But now that's where the reef opens up to players. New players coming through will then get the new social space when they visit the Queen there at the reef. So it has a new flow to it.
Very cool. I wonder if we'll be able to go and do these if we're already maxed out on our characters. Like I'm excited. They said all previous missions are being recategorized and put into a new narrative. That's incredible, right, River? This is incredible.
It's definitely a good thing. Man, I'm surprised they have the ability to really make those kind of changes on the fly, and it really shows how forward-thinking they were in developing this game. So that they can make these kind of changes. But I don't think it's really going to affect us as like day one players as far as, changing up the narrative or anything. It's more for those people who are going to be playing those missions for the first time. It sounds like the reorganization part is more with unlocking the missions in a specific order or something like that. That's what I'm gathering.
I mean, it almost seems like a remaster of the whole game. Like, it's almost a new game from the ground up, so to speak. I mean, they did say that part of this is to try to bring in those players that left, made it to level 24 and haven't picked up Destiny again since then. They really want to entice them back. So a lot of these changes are focused at bringing back that early player base that just didn't think Destiny was quite their thing.
Well, I'm super excited. I can't wait to see what they've done. And I wonder what portion of this is due to having to re-record all of those lines, or if this was just part of it, like what if, they're getting ready to launch and they realize none of this shit's going to work. So they're like, well, let's give them what we got because what we got isn't half bad. And we'll see what works, what doesn't, and moving into the future, like you're right, this makes the game brand new from the very beginning. And that's incredible. Maybe their workflow allows them to look at what they have and drop in and out certain aspects. Like maybe it's a lot easier than we think to go through and do this. Maybe it's more a test of organizational skill than it is. It's not that difficult. I don't know. I think we need to move on. Like, we're probably doing horrible on time here.
We are.
Yeah.
We're doing absolutely terrible.
All right, so yeah, hit it, Agrios.
Okay, Vanguard vendors will have quests unlocked at certain points in progression. So this is right along what we were just talking about there, as far as like likely if you're already leveled up, then these will just be new quests potentially available to you. Or as Remy said, maybe did we miss out on these? We do have a member of our clan, Strider, who actually deleted one of his characters because he wants to start from ground zero and see what a brand new player sees leveling up through the Taken King from ground zero. So it ought to be interesting for him to see how these things all work out in that regard.
I thought about doing that too. I thought about deleting one of my characters and starting over. I've actually really wanted to delete a character and start over, but with this new subclass that's showing up, I kind of feel like that's sort of like starting over. Additionally, I saw a screen grab of, I think it was how much time I've wasted on Destiny.com or something like this, but it actually showed deleted characters, time put into deleted characters. So Jez, you could still, I want to get, with the release of the Taken King, I want to present the numbers of how many hours we've played, and I think that this will be the tool to get those hours back for you, Jez. But yeah,
I've already seen how many hours my total characters, including the deleting ones, was.
Cool. I think it's interesting that information is still out there. How crazy is that? But yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. When we were talking about something that was going to get deleted, something. Jeez, I can't really remember now. I was. My train went on the tracks, but quickly derailed right after. I'll think of it, and I'll probably interrupt later.
Alrighty,
Awesome.
Hit it, Agros.
All right, so they briefly mentioned a new subclass quests. A Titan's, I guess I should disclose minor spoilers here. If you want to be totally in the dark about what the subclass quests have to do with, don't listen for the next moment here.
Now,
the Titan's quest will have you interacting with a rogue mercenary clan of Titans who can teach you the ability to harness the power of the sun. The Hunter's quest will lead him or her to track down a solitary nomad who has gone missing and who holds the key to unlocking the power of void energy. And finally, the Warlock will tap into the power of the storm through a shamanistic ritual with Ikora Ray. Quests from the ominous Eris Morn lead to the rediscovery of a forgotten weapon type. So this is an interesting comment here. A forgotten weapon type. I'm not sure if this references the... we heard about the heavy that fires laser blasts that bounce off walls. I believe it's called Sleeper Simulant, correct?
yes.
And I don't know if this involves that directly, but it certainly qualify as a different weapon type. Does this excite you guys?
Now, how is it a different weapon type? Is it a fusion rifle heavy?
It's a heavy it's what it seems like. A heavy that fires laser blasts that bounce off walls. So I don't think it's
like
necessarily. I think think of like a railgun sort of type thing.
Sounds like a sentinel beam from Halo.
Right, and it could be whatever that elongated sword-looking thing was. But I mean, that still looks like a sword to me.
Me too.
But that feeds right into that.
Handle, like, think if you're holding this thing like a Gatling gun.
I don't know. It still looks too thin. It doesn't have an outline of something I think is very meaty or does much damage.
Yeah, but railguns are very thin and skinny, you know.
Anyways,
moving on.
Equipable motes are now available below your emblem selection. Holding L2 on the pause screen gives an instant glimpse at the energy types equipped on each weapon. New item and subclass visual icons have been redesigned for a quick recognition at a glance. We mentioned before the tiers for intellect, discipline, and strength will tell in seconds what your cooldown is rather than a percentage that you have to figure out on your own. As an alternative to using or sharding your new high-powered legendary weapons and armor, you can also improve them if you like by sacrificing another piece from the same gear slot. I know this is something that'll probably excite Remy. He's talked about things like this in the past.
Right? That sounds great. That sounds great. What do you think, River?
Yeah, it definitely sounds great. I'm gonna, cautious optimism about exactly what that means.
All right.
You think
What
it'll
did you
get
say?
so specific as to say, like, I like the scope selection on this one, but I don't like the scope selection on that one, and it'll let me replace the scope selection, or maybe I don't like the tier, the second node on this one, and then swap that in for the second
I,
node on
I
this
think
one.
maybe that's a possibility because you still need to get the gear through RNG type of deal, and it's not like a random roll through the gunsmith
You're
with
not
however many
pulling.
crap you have.
You're
What?
not pulling the one-armed bandit trying to get the perfect roll.
Yeah, but I mean, in a way, it could be easier. In a way, it could be harder. Again, I'm just gonna wait.
All right. That sounds.
One of my
that
one of my
sounds amazing.
clanmates actually just hasn't been able to play the entire House of Wolves because he's been on a work trip. And when he got back, he spent so many motes just re-rolling. And he's like, I spent 170 motes re-rolling, and what did I get out of it? Nothing. It's a bad game. It's a bad gaming system, I should say. Not the entire game, just the mote rolling. Don't do it.
Man, that sounds amazing. Like if you could just select even one thing, here is this, here, like you were saying, here is the scope. I want to pull it off of that. I made a video about this, years ago, detailing what I was hoping was there, and then it wasn't there, and this sounds like, and at some point I realized that it was not a very realistic, like within the confines of what Bungie wanted to do with Destiny, it wasn't realistic. But that doesn't mean that the idea didn't have merit. And that sounds like a super fun way of gathering up, like going and searching, oh, I have just found this weapon. I'm going to see what it has on it and see if I can break it down for something specifically. That sounds like a ton of fun. How did that phrase go again, Agrios? Will you reread that real quick?
As an alternative to using or sharding your new high-powered legendary weapons and armor, you can also improve an item you like by sacrificing another piece from the same gear slot.
Man, from the same gear slot. So this, I suppose, takes out... Because one of the things that I didn't know how to address in the videos that I was making was how do you not put a... No, this doesn't even fix it. One of the things I was thinking about is how do you not put a sniper scope on a shotgun, but those sit in the same slot.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not like that then.
Yeah, that makes...
It could be just, increasing the power of your weapon or something. Filling out a node or something by sacrificing one
Like
gun
or
3.
That's
Like,
not bad.
it adds experience to that slot by destroying it.
Yeah, it could be that.
Interesting. That definitely brings a different take to that instead of sharding it. Interesting.
Yeah, instead of just getting weapon parts and glimmer, experience for your weapon that you want. I would go with that.
They're going to be improving the gunsmith, so perhaps it involves him in some way, shape, or form. He has a variety of new functions, and I could see them working him into this transition.
What functions?
Well, the gunsmith will now have a reputation meter that can be leveled by testing out common prototypes in the field. These test weapons will have a built-in challenge, like killing Hive on the Dreadnought or using a sniper rifle to get headshots in the Crucible. Check out as many as you want at a time. You hit a certain rep level with the gunsmith, and he'll open up Arms Day purchases.
Yes.
You pay Glimmer to order new legendary weapons, and Wednesday that weapon arrives with a random set of perks. So I could see, along with all this functionality, you might also go to him with, your weapon you want to upgrade as well as weapons that you want to sacrifice. And by sacrificing these weapons to him, he levels up a certain thing on your gun or changes, you work toward changing something, like how you have to, dismantle 10 for 10 blue fusion rifles for Pocket Infinity. So maybe you pick what you want from the gunsmith, and it would go into your quests or something, and it would say, you know, dismantle this many of this type of gun, and then you get that upgrade.
Yes. I'm in.
You know,
Okay.
it does seem to be that they're trying to make milestone days throughout the week. Like Tuesdays obviously reset. Wednesday is now when you're going to see these guns. Friday's Thursday.
Totally.
So
This is genius. This
Yeah.
is brilliant.
this is how they get you to come back every day.
Absolutely.
Expect something on like probably Mondays and Thursdays.
So do you think they're going to go so far? I agree with you about this, like them trying to do this like events on certain days and times. And do you think that, like, we heard about, we didn't really get to this yet, but we heard about the events taking place in the Dreadnought, the more secret events or community bosses, the public event type bosses. Do you think they would go so far as to have, you could only like find this boss on this day of the week?
That would be cool.
I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're going to piss people off by if they did it behind one day, but I could definitely see that being something that they brought in. I just wanted to say real quick, Lawn Boy says, add the Dead Space 3 mod. And seriously, Dead Space 3 had the coolest modifications. Like, you could change the barrels did different things, and the frame, you could build different weapons off of different frames, and you could change the way the spread was, or you could change, you know, the functionality. Like, that was super great. That whole system was super great, and that was one of the reasons I had so much faith that Destiny was going to have an amazing weapon modification aspect, was because Dead Space 3 did it, and it did it a long time ago. So what the hell? But so we got like 20 minutes left. Moving on.
Okay, I'm going to push through this here. The Cryptarch will more reliably provide rewards that match the engrams you give him. I will believe it when I see it. We mentioned that legendary marks are going to replace the Crucible and Vanguard marks, and armor materials will replace Hydronic Essence, Sapphire Wire, and Platsteel Plating. You no longer have to wear the class items to gain reputation. Instead, you pledge allegiance. We mentioned some of the stuff about that. And you'll be able to turn unwanted materials in for reputation on these things. A quote on Vault Space. We mentioned how the emblems and shaders are going to be repurchasable after you get them, but they say that we're still bumping into technical limitations for Vault Space. We're exploring options for getting stuff out of players' inventories via these kiosks that we've placed around the tower, but we're still working toward a solution that we're excited about. You can change the displayed weapon in the tower. So now you no longer have to show your exotic on your back and can show off your fancy heavy that you got.
Awesome. I've been waiting for that. This is amazing. This
That's
is
cool.
an amazing little tidbit, because yeah, maybe you want to show a sniper rifle. Maybe you want to show your heavy. Like, this is awesome. Awesome. Anything else? Moving on.
Over a dozen new exotic weapons will arrive with the Taken King. Half a dozen new armor pieces for each class. Auto rifle that shoots bolts of chain lightning, sniper rifles that blind enemies on precision hits, flaming heavy machine guns, all sorts of crazy things we have seen images of. No Time to Explain is an exotic version of the Stranger's Rifle, sort of. Sleeper Stimulant's a heavy fusion rifle that charges an over-penetration laser through enemy targets that bounces off walls. An exotic gained through multi-step search quest on the Dreadnought. The pieces of it are hidden all over. All exotic unique namesake perks are now immediately unlocked on the exotics, and this includes old exotics that are being awarded from this point forward. So you no longer have to wait to experience the true behavior of your exotics when you pick them up. This goes right along with what they're doing with a lot of the other perks and things that we've seen this trend already, with being able to go ahead and put armor on and become the new level you are as you level up the abilities on it. making them definitely more usable as leveling. So this is exciting to me. They've expanded the Crucible to 8 new maps and 3 new modes. The modes are Mayhem, Rift, and Zone Control. Only controlling matters, kills don't. So this is an interesting new take on the situation.
Cool. Very cool.
I'm a big strategy player, so yeah, I think it's cool as well. Quests to ease new players in. 5 weekly bounties in addition to much faster daily bounties. You finish all 5 weekly bounties to unlock a big bad bounty where you have a chance at a powerful reward like a legendary or exotic weapon. So completing bounties now actually means something. It works you up to completing bigger bounties for better rewards.
Sounds pretty cool.
Better matchmaking for skills and connection. That's exciting too. Hopefully for skill and connection will help prevent some of the serious lag issues that the larger events and Iron Banner have been experiencing. The Crucible will now have a mercy rule that will end dramatically misbalanced matches, and that'll help preserve player sanity and or KD ratio.
Wasn't this already something that was supposed to be integrated, or did they not go far enough with it?
If it was an upset after the match was over, the teams were to be kicked back to orbit so that they weren't paired up with the same team people over again in the same lobby.
Got it. Moving on.
Narrative-driven story with over 8 lengthy missions seamlessly integrated with strikes, public events, class quests, and eventually the raid called King's Fall. At this time, it's unknown whether we'll have more than one difficulty level at launch. They've been quiet on that, but they do say that it is the biggest raid they have ever made to date. You complete the main storyline for access to the ancillary The Taken War, with harder narrative-driven missions that have us revisiting old locales like the Vault of Glass. We were talking about that a bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
I undertook a mission to the Vault of Glass called Unsealed Paradox, which finally provides some answers regarding the fate of Peridith, says one of the Game Informer articles. So that's quite interesting. It seems like things are a lot more lore-based even in your goals, which is nice.
Awesome. More story is never bad.
Agree, wholeheartedly. That's one of my biggest issues with the original Destiny so far. 4 new strikes, 3 for non-PS users, plus 3 remixed older strikes. Those ones have been takenified. We spoke about those before. The presence of several raid-like mechanics to keep things mentally engaging. Strikes will aim for replayability, cycling species you might fight, and altering enemy configurations. Multiple narrations to provide more info as you replay the strike. So it seems that not only are you going to have variables like the Nightfall type stuff possibly, but it seems like you're going to be fighting completely different enemies and groups of enemies, and even have different, maybe even cinematics. I'd say multiple narrations to provide more info. So different people perhaps talking to you as you go through. This is all quite exciting.
Very exciting.
Thank God. That's all I got. I mean, finally.
They've also gone to outline some of the Taken foes we're going to face. Taken captains will have solar shields, throw out slow-moving balls of darkness that blind guardians. Taken knights have AoE scorch attacks that dissuade close combat. Taken centurions possess deadly tracking shots that can aggressively seek around corners. The wizards can summon shadow thralls for a Zerg-like rush. Eliminate them faster, risk being overwhelmed. Taken Scions have the ability to multiply if they're not quickly dispatched. Taken Vandals deploy a Defender Titan-like shield that restores their health and is impermeable to their fire alone. and it's permeable to their fire alone. Sorry. Taken phalanxes have impulse blasts that apply a physical impetus, much like their notorious shields. And taken thralls can teleport a short distance to frustrate attempts to pick them off easily. So yes, we get blinking thralls.
Exciting.
So further detail by an IGN video and short article titled Destiny's King's Fall Raid to be Biggest Ever. They also mention, it's an interview with Deej in which they show a excerpt of the first story mission from the Taken King, and they additionally bring up something called the Court of Oryx, which is a player-instigated public event that pits you against different combinations of different bosses in different scenarios. They're putting a lot more control in the hands of the players to where your Destiny adventure unfolds, and the Dreadnought is great evidence of a lot of the new things that the team is doing to change the way you play the game and change the way it rewards you.
I just want to clarify to folks, what was the name of that? The Court of Oryx?
The Court of Oryx.
Okay, the Court of Oryx, while it sounds like it's a variant of Prison of Elders, it is not the same thing. That's been confirmed already. It's completely different.
Yeah, so what they said, right, was that it was more like a user-activated special event. And this is that was right, River?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Correct.
so this sounds like something that we had talked about on a previous show that was like instead of it being a regular public event, it was something that you all agreed on doing, and it was a bigger public event. I think that's what we're looking at, right?
I'm thinking more like the Urn Quest with the Fallen coming in on Skywatch. Something similar to that.
You know what? I wonder how they're going to combat trolls, because at this point, I'll oftentimes be doing this House of Wolves, those patrol missions, and somebody will come grab the Scorch Cannon and run away with it to another section where they can use its power, and then you're screwed for a small period of time trying to do those bounties. So I'm curious to know if this will be something that once you start, it's in your best interest to finish. Because if people are, there's a fire team out here, and they start this with some other people, and then those three people split, how do you plan for that to happen?
Well, it's supposed to be incentive to fight the big bad that's at the end.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. But it's supposed to be some sort of incentive, so who knows?
All right, we got 5 minutes. Let's go, Agrios.
Well, that's pretty much all of it in a nutshell. That's all of it we're going to get to anyway, in as much detail as we're going to get to tonight.
Okay.
We could talk about this for another 2 hours.
Definitely.
The only thing I didn't mention, I think, was that now bounties can also be turned in without returning to the bounty board. So that's one new change, is that once you complete it, you can go into your inventory and pull it up, bloop, turn it in.
Put on your walking boots, because you can't summon your Sparrow in the Dreadnought.
I think that's pretty exciting.
That's
you know what
awesome.
they're doing that for? So you can't break out of it. I've seen so many videos where people break out of the map by using that Sparrow trick. That's what they're doing.
That, and also it creates a better sense of scale.
Oh, I
If
see
you
what
can-
you're saying.
If
Totally.
you can zip right across it, it's super small. But if you
small.
can have to walk across it, it can be a lot bigger than it actually is. Or, well, a better representation of how big it actually is.
You're
And
totally right.
I really don't want us to keep starting
That's-
from the same starting point and
that's
having to walk
actually-
to the end.
That's actually one of the reasons why in new expansions for World of Warcraft, the areas don't allow flying mounts. At least not until you hit max level.
You know what? That would make Destiny feel a lot bigger if they didn't
Yeah.
have these sparrows that just allowed us to haul ass everywhere.
Here's a question. Is the first mission that we get there going to be, we got to link up for sparrows? Nope.
Nope.
Okay, River. So because you're not going to be here next week, is there anything else that you wanted to go over in this last couple of moments?
Nah, because we're running super short on time as it is, and we're just talking about the Taken King. Like Agrio said, we could talk more on this for 2 more hours, and that's really all I want to talk about.
Well, I just wanted to
one
make
other thing I
sure
should note
that you had
is-
an opportunity to get it all out. before you
I'm
went
good,
to
man.
Next week. And if you
One
have
other thing-
anything that you want to say for next week, like say we get some juicy information between now and then, feel free to record yourself just some MP3, and I will play it on the show. So we'll kind of be like you're here.
MP3 it is.
Yeah. Agrios.
One thing I should note is that you are exploring new territory. You are set up as the first one who is exploring this dreadnought. You're being sent there initially. No Guardian has been there before you. In fact, on your first mission to the dreadnought, you are the one who is setting up the patrol beacons where they go for future patrols to get their missions from the tower.
What? That's crazy.
That's cool. That's crazy cool.
Very,
So
very.
you're saying we're finally the Vanguard?
Hey,
Yes,
Right.
you are in fact the vanguard for the dreadnought.
That's awesome. That's very awesome.
And
I told you
things
we'd be the vanguard.
You're going to find things you can't do in the dreadnought as well. Like you might be wandering around and you might find a shiny weapon part on the ground. You pick it up and it's a shiny weapon part. It doesn't tell you jack about it. You got to figure it out. It's a mission now.
Good.
And you might come across a chest that you can't open. No apparent way to open it. No key. No boss standing by it. But you have no idea what to do. You have to get together as a community and figure out what to do. Apparently,
I
the
hope it
dreadnought
takes
is
us
going to be
months.
filled with these sorts of things.
I hope it takes us so long to get all this.
I agree.
I was gonna say something, but I'll wait until shoutouts. If there's shoutouts.
There is shout outs starting right now. Agrios.
Happy birthday, Deej.
Oh, happy birthday, Jeej. Nice one. Jez.
Shout out to Game Informer who put out most of this information from the get-go, and definitely buy their subscription magazine. It's got a lot of minutia that we kind of can't go over.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
What?
How do you sign up for their magazine?
Oh, it's at the Game Informer site, GameInformer.com.
It's a subscription. You have to purchase their magazine.
Yeah, it's the magazine that you can get at GameStop too, but
Mhm.
the physical version's like next week.
Excellent. Excellent. River.
I highly recommend checking out the Game Informer show on that note, too. They do a podcast, and there's lots of great info. They had lots of great things to say about their hands-on time with Destiny. I highly recommend checking it out.
Excellent. River.
Shout out to you, Remy. Thanks for getting us on iTunes, man. You worked hard, and I'm looking forward to hearing from folks on iTunes now.
I am too. That's going to be really exciting. I like that a lot.
Mhm.
Can't wait to see what their feedback is because I'm certain that they're going to have an opinion. So
Leave us feedback on iTunes, please.
Yes, please. My shout out is going to Mark Square, who you should follow on Twitter. And I want to shout out to him because every time he comes out with a new piece of art, he always includes me with this. It's really like being in a room full of giants. It's like it's always Bungie and Deej and Datto and more console, and then here's me. Like I don't think that I'm in that caliber of Destiny people, but for some reason he keeps adding me to that. And it makes me feel really great. You know, like that Gallercorn that he did was excellent, and he tagged me in it and moved it out to the internet, and I think that that's really great. I really appreciate that he feels that I am worthy of that, and that's awesome. So
Just because you are.
well, thank you. And that wraps up episode 51. I would like to thank everyone listening for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions or topics to be discussed on the show, please leave them in the comments below or send them to feedback@guardian1.net, and we will see you next week.
Where's my dinkle?